Hi, welcome. I'm Skyra with Sovereign Vision Temple, and today I just want to talk freely without trying to say a bunch of ums, because I noticed I do that a lot in my videos. Sometimes instead of just pausing and considering what I'm going to say, I'll try doing that more. And I also want to give myself more grace. I've spent the last 5 years of my life learning how to speak on camera, learning how to speak freely without judging myself extremely harshly. And just so you know, I just released a bunch of videos that were on private and on my channel, so that you can if you're interested and looking at some of the lessons I learned through my journey, my process, which I think these videos were happening since about 2018 is when I started recording public videos. And so they're just little ones, smidgets here and there through my awakening journey, which actually began in 2015. And then I started recording things about 2018. So there's a lot of embodied wisdom or things that I was learning about through my process, and I recorded about and I was talking about. And one of the things that I had a real fear of was allowing people to really see who I am. And I kept this presence up. And so it's hard to explain, but there's a mask that we can put on, an authentic mask, and it's caused by fragmentation in the soul. So my journey was to bring all these fragments together so that I am who I am right now, in front of the camera, in person, behind the scenes. I am the same person. For the most part. I mean, there's some things we don't share, on camera or whatever. I really truly strive to be who I am, and to be really authentic. So that's why I decided to give myself love and see myself through love today. Things that I was ashamed of in the past, that I was like, oh, I can't believe that I was talking about that, or I was talking that way back then. And I guess about a year ago or a couple of years ago, I was selecting and picking and choosing which videos that I wanted to be a public. And I decided today that all of them are going to be public, so that you can experience and see a difference of a person who has walking and doing the inner work through the process. And I was supporting clients at different phases in different parts of my journey, that embodied part. And it started back like in 2017, 2018, when I was healing my body through the detoxification process. And then it went into emotional, mental, and trauma processing, and just, everything, and all the way. And now I would say that I'm moving back into, and very highly for about the last year, into the depths of understanding God and spirituality for myself and what that means, and processing the trauma that I had around that, where I was trying to do everything myself. And even though we're sovereign, we can become sovereign. It doesn't mean that we are exempt from the creator. God, we are not. And then if some of us have completely shut off that part because we've had trauma, we've had spiritual or religious trauma or spiritual trauma, because some of us might have grown up in a church and felt traumatized by that in some way. And then we, go into spirituality, and then we realize that we bring in the same types of trauma. Or we may have had an awakening and went into the spiritual world, and into all that, and then went back into and went towards churches or religion because of the trauma that we experienced in the spiritual world. But what we're going to find is that there, where we go, there we are. And whatever is unhealed in us, whatever is unhealed in our inner world, we're going to continue to bring to us no matter where we are, because unhealed energy, unhealed trauma tends to bring the same scenarios, the same repeated patterns, just in different scenarios, different places. And that was what my very long journey was, understanding that until I brought the healing to the patterns and the trauma that I had experienced, and also in through healing ancestral trauma. And and so this is another thing I want to talk about today. What way do you start? Which way are you starting? Some of us awaken and we take a top-down approach, which means we get really connected to spirituality. We might go up into bypassing, and that means we're just bypassing and trying to stay in all love and light without being embodied, without feeling our body because of trauma. And we can do this in spirituality, and we can also do this in religion. And I've experienced both. I used to just bypass everything through religion, and then I went away from the church, and then went into spirituality and experienced kind of the same thing, although I was learning things that I had never knew about, never had been taught. It was a whole nother world to me, because there was absolutely none of that different world, because of the shame program that we're told to stay away from it. And or some people start. So I kind of started there in that part, and then other aspects of me started. My healing journey started from a bottom approach, which was healing my body from disease and sickness, and moving up the energy into understanding my mind and the emotions and trauma, and being able to get in my body and release all the suppression that I felt that was staying in my body, that was present in my body from years and years of disembodiment. So these are really the topics I'm talking about today: is what is disembodiment, and what is the ascension process, which we can go into ascension, which was where we are releasing trauma, releasing programs from a state of fear up into a state higher, into a state of love, in that love frequency, unity frequency, rather than separation and fear. That's actually what the ascension process is. Embodied ascension means that we are fully present in our body, that we aren't bypassing, that we are able to see the shadows in the world as well as within ourselves. And in the beginning of the videos where if you watch them, you can see that I was very much in understanding things, but I was not embodied. My voice was different. It was very high pitched. And these are some of the things that when you become embodied, you become more grounded in your body. You become more really in your womb space, in your sacral energy. And it means you're deeply connected to the earth energy. You're grounded in, and you're also connected into the higher realms. I don't know if anybody understands this today, but it was something I wanted to explain. And I also just wanted to release and let you know that I was releasing these other videos. There is a lot of good wisdom and nuggets in there for anybody who might want to go into what I'm talking about as far as witnessing the process of an awakening and the healing as it progressed. Yeah, so I hope that helps with understanding there's two directions of healing. It's through it can be a top-down approach and then or a bottom-up approach. And then the goal is for us to be here and also ground in and be in our body, deeply in our body, so that when those two come together, that we are able to connect in at our heart. Because some people are working all in their mind and they're not present in their heart. We find this a lot now because people have shut down hearts, from a lot of trauma and fear and abuse, and we just shut down our heart. And what that was most definitely my case, and it's taken many years, and then sometimes we'll start coming out and then it'll shut down again, because we'll have a repeated cycle, because our healing process is deeper levels. Deeper levels is more of like an onion, being shed, or a skin. I like the snake, because the snake goes into the depths, of what's happening in this reality, and the illusions that are running. And so that is what the awakening process is you begin to see through that illusion, see through the veil, and then you have to process it in the world, and also process it within ourselves. How are we as a collective consciousness, how are we contributing it? Because if we're all one mind, if we're all in unity, then we must look at ourselves. We must look at how we are contributing to everything that we see outside that we don't like about the world. It's actually still present in us in some way, in some aspect. So the more that we awaken to this unity in this collective consciousness, and that we are actually creating this world through our consciousness, the more healing this earth will experience. So I hope that clears up embodiment, if anybody had questions about that. And I'll be continuing to make videos, and I have a lot of things to share. I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. And I have some programs coming up soon, or some experiences that are coming up that I would like to have you join in. So I will let you know more about that soon. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.